All right, cool, good stuff. And now we go over to Netflix and Friends. And the first offering from Netflix and Friends this week is Joe Pickett. From that, well, I think of it as a graveyard of a streaming service, which is Paramount Plus, because I have never seen anything on Paramount Plus. Each time, like I know, Sharon, you have Paramount Plus. You had it for a while, I
Yeah.
think, with your Sky thing. And each
Yeah,
time
we
you
got
mix
it
up,
at free, and we decided to keep going with it because between us, there's enough on there for us to keep going. Well, actually, we'll watch this season, and then something else comes on. Oh, well, actually, we'll watch that. So yeah, we've actually kept going with it beyond
all
the
right,
free trial.
that's good because each time you come up with something and you say, "Oh yeah, we saw this on Paramount Plus," I'm like, "What? Oh yeah, that exists. I totally forgot about that." So tell us about Joe Pickett.
Go Pick It. Yeah, it's based on a well, amongst certain circles, a very well-known series of books. The Joe Pickett is a star of these books written by a guy called C.J. Fox, and there's 25 of them, and
Good
they have
lord.
been going for a long time. They have been 15, 20 years probably. These books have been written, and Joe Pickett at the start of the books. I've only read the first four because I've only just discovered them quite recently myself. Um, he is a game warden in Wyoming, in rural Wyoming, and this is like a one horse town basically, where he has got hundreds and hundreds of square miles of like the Bighorn Mountains where he patrols, and he lives at the edge of this small town where, and one day he there's a series of events, and basically what it culminates in, one morning he goes out of his house and he finds someone dead on his woodpile, and this man has been shot with an arrow, and he was carrying a cooler box, what we would normally carry like your packed lunch in,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
empty. And in the bottom of this cooler box, there's some animal droppings, and that's it. And from there, he has to work out what on earth is going on. And there are these seemingly unconnected events, like in the mountains, a group of um, hunters have been shot in their base camp, and they don't understand why. And so there's all these seemingly random things that come. And Joe Pickett, his job as a game warden in Wyoming is basically to make sure that people have their fishing licenses, their hunting licenses, and when they go fishing, they don't take more than like three or six fish out of the river. And if
yeah,
they're hunting for food, they don't take more than what their license is like. They can shoot a deer or an elk or whatever, and they can take it away and they can harvest it for meat, but they don't do trophy hunting. They literally hunt for food.
yeah,
And so his job is not normally to investigate murders. His normally is about rural crime. And so suddenly he has become his because it's like this guy has died on his doorstep, and he'd had a run in with this guy. It's him. He basically ends up investigating and finding out what it is about what has gone on, to have this guy who he doesn't live in the middle of town. He lives at the edge of town. This guy came to him with an arrow through his chest, and then he died basically on his doorstep. So he
yeah,
wants to work out why this man came to him, what was in the carrier, and who shot him. And then you get various different red herrings and various different strands. So at the heart of it, it is like a whodunit.
yeah.
But then it sort of takes you into a different setting. This is rural Wyoming, a part of the country. I've never been to America, so I don't know it. But it is one of those big square states right up at the top, at the top bit. And they're all the ones that are all the straight lines that seem to be in straight lines.
Yes, 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 yep,
And it's
yep.
just like, so you ignore mountains and rivers and natural phenomena. You just go, we'll go from there to there as our boundary. So an interesting state, but other than it being rural and it having like the Shoshone and the Cheyenne up there, that's all I know about Wyoming, basically.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, this is a complete for me as a sort of someone from southern rural Britain. I know nothing about this world or this culture, so it was an interesting sort of slice of life into something I probably would never ever encounter,
All right, well, cool.
and an interesting whodunit.
So yeah, okay, so yeah, obviously you have the whodunit and then you have the setting and everything like that. So that's the
Yeah.
setting, the whodunit element of it. What did you think about that? How did that get you? How did that get
I
you?
thought they did it very well. I mean, I was slightly had a slight advantage because I've only read the first four, and this was based on a couple of the first books. So
Oh, so you
I
have you
more or
have
less
actually read the books.
I've read four of them. I've only read the
Okay.
first four, and the first series was based on the first three books. They take elements out of different stories. So
Okay.
even though I knew broadly what was happening, because they'd mixed and matched some of the books, I was thinking, well, actually, that character isn't in that story. So they had mixed it up a bit. So it was interesting and different enough for someone who'd read the books to go, well, actually, I don't really know what's going on here. And so, but no, I found I found it interesting. I liked it. Um, yeah,
And
and
you're
I,
and you're
so
and
I,
you're carrying on with season 2.
yes, I'm going to watch season 2, and I'm going to carry on reading probably a few more of the books. Because I think what the thing about Joe Pickett, the fact that he's a game warden, is interesting. But the fact that in some ways he's like an everyman. He's not the biggest guy. He's not ex-military forces. He's not a special agent. He's not a secret, ninja. He is like a family man. He's happily married. He's got children. He has got, he hasn't got a particular set. He's
He
good at
isn't.
what he does.
Yeah, he is not Jack Reacher essentially.
He's
He's not
not
Jack
Jack Reacher.
Reacher.
No, he's not like he's sort of like 5'9", 5'10". He's not the most muscular guy in the world. He is not very good at shooting. I mean, in the books, he's known for the fact that he can't hit anything, so they gave him a shotgun because it's the only thing he can hit anything with. Because they give him a small arm, and he just can't hit anything.
Okay.
So he's not like Deadeye. He's not a dead shot. So he's an ordinary guy, but he's suddenly thrust into these extraordinary circumstances.
Oh, I've just looked up the cast of Joe Wick. Is Joe Wickett right? No, Joe Pickett. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I recognize nobody. Okay, there's two
No,
people
I
I
don't.
recognize. I recognize David Alan Grier and Paul Sparks because he was in House of Cards. But apart from that, I'm like, this. Ooh, I'm so intrigued now because I essentially Paramount Plus. I don't understand what their strategy is or what it is you go to that streaming platform for. And I'm thinking because when you were talking about the number of books and everything like that, it sounds to me like it could be like when they heard Reacher was doing Amazon, they were like, "Ooh, we could do that too. Let's go find a series of books that are not as well known as that and cast people that don't." But anyway, let's see. So how many stars do you give it?
Yes, yeah, I enjoyed it. So I'd definitely give it a 3-star.
Sure.
But yeah, so I enjoyed it. I think it's accessible enough for people who don't have to have read the books. My brother's watched it and enjoyed it, and he's gone on and finished all of season 2 before I even got halfway through season 1. So he watched all of them. So he enjoyed it, and he doesn't read. He does read, but he doesn't read that sort of book. So yeah, and I thought it's accessible. It was enjoyable. Yeah, it's a good watch. So I give it certainly a solid 3.
Cool. A solid 3 for Joe Pickett.